I'm Phoenix, and you're watching The Bird's Eye View. So, I'm going to talk about two states that I visited recently, Iowa and Michigan. Now, when President Trump held a rally in Des Moines, I thought it'd be great to go back and visit. I loved it there in the primaries. It was very cold, but I loved it there. A lot of fun. So I thought I'd go back, especially because it's actually a swing state. Now, Iowa may only boast 6 electoral college votes, but this year every point will matter. So I found that really interesting that it's such small, it's small when it comes to population and numbers and the votes that will really go towards the electoral college, but it's really important. Not only is there the presidential race, there's a very tight Senate race between Joni Ernst, the Republican incumbent, and her Democratic challenger, Teresa Greenfield. And I was able to talk to people there, and I would say there's definitely a very loud enthusiasm for President Trump. And when I drive down the highway, I'm not driving. I wish I was driving, but I'm not. And when we're going through rural back roads, I saw way more Trump signs than I did any Biden signs. Let's say I saw 100 Trump signs, and I probably only saw 2 Bidens. And I found that to be really interesting, and I'm curious because that's one thing I'm going to talk about. This Bird's Eye View is ground game versus money. I remember back in 2016 when we were traveling around, I noticed President Trump had way more yard signs, and now it's even flags. And I wondered, because I barely saw any Hillary, if any, in some states. And I wondered, well, what does this show? So I was able to speak to the communications directors for North Carolina for both campaigns, and I asked about ground game. What is the importance of ground game? Having those signs in the front yard, door knocking. And I actually was surprised because when I talked to the Clinton communications director, he said, well, no, that's not what's important. And I heard the exact opposite from the Trump campaign. And, that's really important to us, getting out there, getting this yard signs in the front yard. And that was really intriguing to me. Now, I remember in 2016, the Clinton campaign had way more money than President Trump did. And Joe Biden has a lot more money than President Trump did. So what will win? Money or ground game? And the enthusiasm. We hear a lot from conservatives about the silent majority, right? And that may be true in some ways. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel like they're silent because it feels like there is such enthusiasm. Now, I've heard from people who say, well, they're not comfortable, they're afraid to put a Trump sign in their front yard or bumper sticker, they're afraid their car will be vandalized or their home will be vandalized. But we look at these rallies. They have thousands, if not tens of thousands of people packed in. I'm not really going into the debate whether it's safe during COVID, but there's such a loud enthusiasm for President Trump. People are so excited to support him, get out and vote for him. I'm traveling through Iowa and Michigan, and I see Trump flags. I see flags with Rambo, with Trump's head on it. But I don't think I've ever really seen that with any other candidate. But, there's just the flags, and I don't really see that with Biden. Let's say I've seen 100 Trump flags over my travels in the last couple weeks, and I've seen 2, maybe 1 or 2 Biden flags. And maybe there's just different ways to approach that with the campaigns. So I'm wondering what went out. Going through Iowa, I saw 98% Trump signs. I think that was really interesting to me. And, you have a lot of farmers in Iowa, and I'm wondering how they're going to turn out for the president. Now I'm going to talk about Michigan. Michigan has 16 electoral college votes, and it's just like Iowa, there's an important Senate race going on there as well. I have a drawing of Michigan that looks absolutely horrible here. So we kind of went crisscross the state. We start out in Detroit. We were going to cover a Biden event, but sadly the campaign didn't respond to our email. So that was kind of stinks. But then we went over to Muskegon, Michigan, where President Trump held a rally with thousands of people there. So we talked to people there why they support the president. And then we left the state for a couple days. And then we came back to Lansing, where President held yet another rally, and we talked to people there as well. And there's definitely enthusiasm there, and that's what I was talking about with these rallies. It just seems like there's such a loud voice supporting President Trump, and I really thought that was interesting, traveling all over, because we hear like how the conservatives are the silent majority. Sometimes it feels like they're loud, and maybe not on social media per se, but just out there in the rural communities. Now, whenever I travel through an urban area, like when you get closer to the metropolitan areas, I see the exact opposite from the rural areas. 98% Biden. So, of course, you have the different areas that have different votes, basically. So, it's just been really interesting observing going around the country, even when we're just driving to our destination. I've heard it's not just the destination, it's the journey. And when I'm covering elections, that's actually absolutely right. So it's been really intriguing going through those states. That's pretty much about it, and we'll see what will happen. As I said, actually, in Michigan, there's a tight Senate race between Democratic incumbent Gary Peters and his Republican challenger, John James, and that's a really tight race there. We'll see how it will turn out on Election Day. Well, thanks for watching. I'm Phoenix Rising in America, and this is our country.